Hello, this is Tim Hellman.
Gabe Acock.
And this is the Movie Talk. Today we're going to review the movie Beast of the Southern Wild. It's an independent film filmed in the Louisiana bayous, and it's about a fictional town called the Bathtub, where a little 6-year-old girl named Hush Puppy grows up with her father, Wink, and the town is flooded due to ice caps melting, and it's about her coming to her own independence and having to grow up without a mom, and then she is eventually probably going to lose a father. And then it's kind of about her vision of some prehistoric creatures making their way to her and her friends, and they're oryx, but they're kind of a symbol of her overcoming something.
Yeah, I mean, they were released by the melting from the icebergs. I think they represent fear and anxiety.
You said it kind of reminded you of Pan's Labyrinth, which I kind of agree with.
What it reminded me of is one of my favorite authors is Bernard Malamud, and an English teacher of mine described his work as magical realism, which is you have this completely realistic scene or scenario, and you just accept that these magic things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Pan's Labyrinth did that as well.
Yeah. It's also about the townsfolk not really wanting to leave, even though they know it's going to flood, which kind of happened with Katrina too, right?
That happens on every hurricane.
Yeah.
You'll get people trying to surf the waves.
It was directed by Ben Zeitlin and written by Zeitlin and Lucy Alibar, and it's based on her stage play Juicy and Delicious. The filmmaking team that Ben Zeitlin does his movies with, he calls Court 13. This is his first feature film, but it's kind of cool he credited the team. Court 13 was the first credit at the end of the movie, which
I didn't know that.
I don't think has been done before. And it was cast with all Louisiana bayou actors. The guy that played the dad was found at a bakery across the street from where they were doing the casting, and the little girl was cast when she was 5 years old.
That little girl, she is amazing. Not sure if I ever want to have kids, but if I did, I would wish she would be like that little kid.
I think almost anyone would want a kid like her.
Yeah.
But all kids are beautiful, though.
I don't know about that. I've seen some ugly ones.
One of my favorite parts of the film was the father-daughter relationship, which we talked about how it almost seemed like he was tough on her, but he was really loving at the same time. So it almost borderline like you're afraid he was going to become abusive, but then he never did. He was always
Which I thought was brilliant, because that would have been an easy way to go writing-wise, mm-hmm. But mm-hmm. to make that tension, but it never happens. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very, very well done, both acting and writing-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes about 20 minutes, but after 20 minutes, you know that he loves her and he'll never hurt her.
Yeah. There was a criticism that it romanticizes poverty. What do you think of that?
You were telling me that. I don't see that at all.
No.
What I read anyways, and I'm not an anthropologist by any means, but your happiness is relative wealth. So that little girl was perfectly happy. She loved her town. She was proud of it. It was what she knew. So she was rich within her environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a really positive message about finding the happiness wherever you can.
Yeah, and
even when you have nothing, you can find happiness in life.
Yeah, and it was a tearjerker of a movie, but I would say overall it made me feel good.
Yeah, it was inspiring.
It wasn't, it could have just gone.
Yeah, I got a little teared up, but I was really impressed with how it was made on such a low budget.
Oh yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
Definitely say it's one of my favorites of this year for sure.
Yeah. So what rating would you give it?
I'd give it a 5 out of 5 or
Right.
10 out of 10, or I thought it was, for me, a perfect movie.
Yeah, I would go up to 5. It's probably going to get some Oscar nominations here in a couple days.
What most reminded me of Louisiana was they had parties for everything. They definitely started kind of in the beginning of the movie with that, and even after they got out of the storm and barely made it to each other, what'd they do? They kind of had a party. Crawfish boil with shrimp, bunch of booze.
A lot of drinking.
Yeah.
There are people that are debating whether it's supposed to be a post-apocalyptic future or a representation of Katrina. I think it's pretty much up to an interpretation.
I think it's a combination of the two. I mean, it's kind of a warning about global warming.
Oh, yeah.
And with the poles melting and how it affects, these awesome people thousands and thousands of miles away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one thing they want, to bring home, that this affects more than just the poles or, polar bears or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's affecting these wonderful families. I want to interject with a little story my mom used to tell me when we lived in Louisiana. Is we asked where the term bayou came from instead of just calling it a swamp. And so what she would always tell us as kids is that when somebody couldn't pay their gambling debts, they would throw their body out in the bayou and say, bayou. The good phrase in Louisiana is laissez le bon temps rouler.